Yes, guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to this evening's live stream for all things Chelsea versus West Ham United in the London derby on Sunday. And Chelsea, on the back of a very, very disappointing defeat against Arsenal at the Bridge in midweek, really need to return to winning ways. The former Stamford Bridge has not been good in the last 3 games. He's lost 3 in a row in all comps, so that's really got to stop. We're currently 9th in the form table for home form in the Premier League, so things have got to change there. Obviously, we'll get more into the team news, but no Antonio Rudiger, no Mateo Kovacic for the game. So it's going to be really difficult. West Ham doing really well again in the Premier League and the Europa League as well. David Moyes doing a fantastic job. So it's not going to be easy by any means. And I'm delighted to be joined by Pice. Mate, thank you so much for your time as always. Really appreciate it. Before we get into the game itself, I just wanted to start with a guy that divides opinion amongst Chelsea fans, particularly if we're going by Twitter, but that's Declan Rice. Obviously, he'll be coming back to Stamford Bridge on Sunday with West Ham. Fabrizio Romano tweeting out that Declan Rice has turned down, I think it's a third contract. I'll just bring it up on the screen now. A third contract offer at West Ham. Still no agreement. Rice has always been committed, but he's now open to a move this summer. West Ham insist he's untouchable. And then obviously, you know, it's been confirmed that West Ham will not sell Declan. Well, confirmed is like that. It's not officially confirmed, but do you know what I mean? They've put out saying they won't sell him this summer, even if he doesn't sign the new contract, under no pressure to sell. And they have an option to extend this contract by 1 year to 2025. How much do you read into this, Pice? Do you think it's a big deal, or it's kind of just a bit of noise about not very much, to be honest?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, Fabrizio says it's an exclusive. I think West Ham United employee who's kind of like ITK for West Ham said it's kind of rejected offers really from West Ham a lot. This seems to be his third one he's rejected. Look, clearly he wants more ambition. He wants to challenge for trophies consistently. West Ham are a very good team. They may get into the Champions League this season. They're still in with a shout. But from Rice's perspective, I do expect him to leave probably in the next couple of seasons. I'm still quite pessimistic about a move this summer coming up. I think maybe at the end of next season. I think West Ham's board are very, very strong in their position. I believe that they won't sell him for cheap. I mean, I still think it's not going to be 150 million, but I still do believe they'll ask between 80 and 100 million, which is a ridiculous amount. But then again, he is one of the top DMs on the market. It's a position that's not as strong as it used to be a few years ago. There's not a lot of top DMs out there. And also he's very good going forward as well. He can play as a box to box. He's really got all the attributes. I guess one of the main things that people don't like about Rice is, or the question about Rice is, can he do it in something like a Tuchel system where it's very, very heavily based on possession football instead of stopping counter-attack transitions? But again, I mean, I say that, look at us recently. We need someone to kind of sit back, stop transitions, cut passing lanes, be physical in midfield. We haven't really had that since Matic left. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting news, but I still think, I still don't think he'll leave this summer. I'd be very surprised. It would have to take something ridiculous, I still believe.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, mate. I think ultimately he will leave West Ham, whether that's for a fee or whether that's for a free transfer in a couple of years' time or whatever it may be. But having said that, it's been widely reported that the new owners will look to make kind of one statement marquee signing, whatever you want to refer to it as, this summer. There's a lot of, not turmoil, but there's a lot of positions up for grabs in the midfield area at Chelsea. It's an area that needs kind of maybe rebooting as such. Big players might need to be moved on. We've got great youngsters coming through, players returning from loan. And I think very much so next season, kind of a change of formation really does rest on whether we get in a defensive midfield player. Obviously, the two that have been touted, Declan Rice and obviously Tchouameni from Monaco. Do you think that, I mean, it divides opinion, as I said, particularly on Twitter. Some Chelsea fans or football fans in general not convinced, others definitely convinced. I think Declan Rice has got immense capabilities, immense talent, and he's someone that would be there for probably 7, 8 plus years, probably. Do you think he's the right profile of player for Chelsea? And do you think, this is something that maybe with the uncertainty surrounding, we should be looking to go for him this summer?
Yeah, on the face of it, I think it's the right profile we need. As I said, we haven't really had someone physical in midfield since Matic, and I mean, you look at the top two teams with Fabinho and Rodri. They're both physical midfielders, strong, can tackle. Not the fastest. Rice is definitely faster than both of them, but I do believe in a title-winning team. You do need someone in there locking down kind of the midfield, and then kind of someone more progressive going forward. Someone like a Kovacic, who's then allowed to have the freedom to make those runs. So yeah, I believe it'd be a good signing for Chelsea. I don't know, like his obviously would be have an immense impact. I think it doesn't really excite me if you get if that
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense.
no, I know what you
I don't know,
mean.
like it's just like one of those. It kind of feels like okay, come on then, because you feel like he's gonna come. So when he does come, it's like oh well, I've expected that for years anyway. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? It's kind of like one of
Yeah,
those. If he doesn't come to Chelsea, you'll be like shocked because I just feel like if he's gonna leave West Ham. Oh, it's not even if. When he leaves West Ham, it's going to be Chelsea. Like, I'm 100% convinced. If he goes to United or something, I'd be shocked. Like, he wants to live in London. He's a Chelsea fan. He came from Chelsea's academy. Chelsea still want him. Tuchel wants him, supposedly. So, I mean, yeah, it's just about the price, which is why I've never ruled out him really staying at West Ham until his contract actually runs out because people don't seem to realise, like, West Ham's board is very stubborn. He's by far their best player. They are not going to let him leave for anything below 80 million in my opinion, and will Chelsea and the new owners put that sort of money down on the table, especially when a lot of these parties are data driven, kind of owners and have data driven experts or looking to hire them into the board and things like that. So I don't know, it's a lot of ifs really, and buts in terms of Declan Rice for this summer.
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, in terms of just the midfield in general going forwards, mate. Obviously, as I touched on, there's a lot of big decisions to be made there. Kante and Jorginho both out of contract at the end of next season. Form starting to decline, I would say, with Kante and Jorginho after a fantastic season last season has kind of, I guess, in my opinion, he's been disappointing this season. So there's the decision to be made there on those two players, and obviously with the likes of Loftus-Cheek, decision to be made there as well, despite his kind of resurgence in recent weeks. Whether he's done enough or not to stay at the club this summer is another question. Conor Gallagher coming back, Gilmore coming back. Obviously, we're in the market for a holding midfield player. I mean, mate, where do you stand in the midfield setup at the club at the moment? I guess I'll start with the main ones. Kante and Jorginho. Are you looking to sell one this summer? Do you think we get rid of both of them? I mean, what do you think? Because for me, I'd be looking to sell Jorginho this summer. I just still think there's more contribution on the pitch to come from Kante over Jorginho, even though you probably get a higher fee for Kante. But I think one's got to be moved on this summer, and I definitely wouldn't be offering both of them a new contract, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, another interesting discussion, really. I mean, Jorginho and Kante for me are both declining now. I mean, I went to the Arsenal game, and it's not just been the Arsenal game, but there's been many games this season where I think, especially Real Madrid as well, with Kante, I just feel like I kind of don't notice him on the pitch at times, and that's worrying. I feel like he's quite sloppy now. He's not really as good on the ball anymore because I've always mentioned, I always thought he's very underrated technically and good on the ball, but I don't know. He's definitely declining. You would get a higher fee for Kante, but I don't think both will be moved on. I think it will be Jorginho that leaves. I've always thought Kante could possibly retire at Chelsea. To be honest, he's just one of those
Mm.
guys that I can't see the club selling. You know what I mean? Like even he's 31. Even with that in mind, I still feel like the club would want some like crazy figure, like 60, 70 million pounds, something like that would just be. Then they probably would cash in, but I don't know. With Jorginho, you're probably looking at what 30, 40 million to go back to Italy, and I think that would be good money towards a top level DM. It's just like I don't know. Ideally, I would make a lot of changes to our midfield. It's just not realistic, I don't think. Because the amount that needs to be done in our squad is a lot, and people don't
Yeah.
realise that. People really don't realise that. I don't think.
No, they definitely don't. I mean, obviously, one of those guys has got to move on. We've got, I mean, just quickly on the guys potentially returning, or the guys that are returning. Do you think Conor Gallagher's going to have a good shot next season in the squad, or do you think ultimately he'll be looked at in pre-season and maybe he could be sold if an offer of 50 million came in.
Yeah, I mean, another interesting discussion. I don't really know what's going to happen with him. I kind of got a feeling he might be sold just because I feel like he's very ambitious and I feel like he'll want to play every game still. Because I mean, Tuchel said he wanted to keep him last preseason, but Gallagher
Yeah,
wanted to play. So, I mean, realistically, what's going to change next season unless we actually play with eights more? Because Gallagher is not a pivot player. He's still very, very average on the ball, personally, I feel like, especially retaining possession. He's good going forward, like good shooting and stuff like that, but still, he can definitely work on his passing, can definitely work on how he receives the ball and how he receives the ball under pressure. That's why I think Mount definitely tops him because people say, "Oh, Gallagher, Mount." Mount is, I'm telling you now, from I've watched both of them loads. Mount is definitely more secure on the ball,
yeah,
but obviously Gallagher can improve, and I'd love him in the squad, 100%. Like I'd love him to be coached by Tuchel, and I'd love him to have a shot. But I just think I know big offers are going to come in, like 35, 40 million, maybe even more. Those offers are definitely going to come in because he's had a ridiculous season. So
yeah.
it's up to the club again, new owners, Gallagher. I mean, Tuchel said like it will be up to I'll have a discussion with Gallagher, see what he wants, see what I want, see what the club wants, and like it's not very reassuring if you're Conor Gallagher. You know what I mean? Like
No.
it's not like Tuchel's like, yeah, you're 100% in the squad next season. Like for me, it's about position and what formation we go with. If we still stick primarily to the three at the back, I don't think he should stay. I don't think it'll be beneficial for him, honestly. I don't see him playing in the forward spots. I don't think he's good enough at dribbling. Again, just like Mount, I think Mount and Gallagher they need to be actually playing midfield. It's all right for now because Mount's playing in four and he's doing all right, but I don't know about Gallagher yet. I got to be honest with you. There's a lot of I don't know. Just not sure if the stylistic fit is right just yet.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, mate, I think I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen it with Chelsea before with academy players that have gone out on loan, done very well. Like for right or wrong reasons, they're not afraid to cash in on them. We've seen it with Tammy Abraham, we've seen it with Tomori, Mark Gahey, Livramento. Whether you agree or not with those, like if a decent offer comes in for an academy product, they're going to take it. And I think for me, if we stick with, which is the big if, because I hope we don't, if we stick with a back three next season, as you rightly said, I worry for the amount of minutes that Gallagher's going to get, and I don't think him playing in a two-man midfield is going to suit his capabilities. But if we were to sign a holding midfield player and play with two number eights, his chances of getting game time and being involved at Chelsea dramatically increase. So I think a lot of it is down to if we sign a defensive midfield player as to whether Conor Gallagher will stay around and get the minutes that he feels would be acceptable at a club like Chelsea. So there's definitely big decisions to be made there. Obviously, I won't go into it now. It's a completely different conversation. But there's big decisions to be made all over the pitch, at the back, in the midfield, at the top end of the pitch as well. So there's a lot to be dealt with. But you know, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation to have for sure. And there's going to be a lot of interested parties in a lot of those midfield players. Just one more midfield player, mate, before we move on. Billy Gilmour, kind of a forgotten man. Again, someone slight in stature, but he's got good ability on the ball, a good midfield player. For me, I've kind of always thought that ultimately I just don't see his long-term future being at Chelsea. I'm just not sure, for me, if he can sustain a first-team place. I mean, I could be proven to be wrong, but I just don't think Gilmour is perhaps quite good enough at the end of the day for Chelsea. I mean, where do you stand on Billy Gilmour?
I mean, if we want another player like Jorginho that actually progresses the ball faster, Gilmour's perfect. If we still want that profile in the squad, doesn't mean we can't sign another DM, but if we still want someone in the squad that can do that, 100% Gilmour would be great for us. I don't really judge loans that, like if a loan goes wrong, I don't really judge it that, harshly. For me personally, like Norwich was good because he'd get game time, but even then, like he had what was it, Farker, the old manager, he kept swapping him in and out. He didn't play for ages. Obviously, Norwich are crap anyway, so how much can you really, drag that team and help that team when you're like 20 or 19, however old he is yourself? So, I mean, I don't really take that into account. I know a lot of people said, he's had a crap loan, but I mean, loans can be crap. It's more about game time than anything.
I mean, to be fair, Loftus-Cheek didn't have the best of loans at Fulham.
Exactly,
As you say, it doesn't really mean too much. I think it's quite hard to judge, but yeah, a lot of decisions need to be made. But moving away from the midfield, moving away from transfers, very briefly before we get into kind of what's going on at Stamford Bridge in terms of the home form. Any updates on ownership? Obviously, we had the news that Lewis Hamilton and Serena Williams, I think it is, are contributing money to Martin Broughton's bid, that are part of the consortium. And I've also seen that Martin Broughton saying that he believes that his bid would be able to provide the biggest cash injection. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. Price, have you got any further ownership updates other than kind of the news that broke a day or so ago?
I mean, there's not really particularly much at the moment. It's more
No.
about just waiting for the winner right now. That's like the final stage. I think I put out a tweet this morning, which was from, who was it from? James Robson, Standard Sport. He's
Yeah.
quite reliable. He said, that they were expecting it as early as today, but it's more likely next week now they're waiting for. So, and it's going to be at the end of this month. I don't see it dragging into May. So I believe next week will finally be the week where we learn who's the winner. I mean, yeah, the bids are interesting, but I still think Todd Bowley's the favourite just because he was one of the first ones to bid. And I still think all the reports that came out were, it's Ricketts versus Bowley. And now Ricketts has obviously gone. You'd think Bowley would like to win, but maybe there's a late twist. I mean, it's very hard to say and give an opinion, actually, because we don't know the finer details. Like, we don't know these, because obviously each consortium has got, like, quite a few investors, especially Pagliuca and Sir Martin Broughton's bid. They've got a lot of investors that are worth quite a bit of money. I was looking into Sir Martin Broughton's bid, and he has backing from the Tsai family. I think they're in Taiwan. They're very, very rich, like billions and billions of pounds. But that doesn't mean anything if they're not, like going to invest in Chelsea, because like this is what I said about like the Ricketts. They had Ken Griffin, they had Dan Gilbert. It's like 50 billion combined, just those two. It doesn't mean anything if you don't want to win and invest year on year. You can have money all you want. For me, it's about structure and planning and investment. So whoever's got all of that and can continue to invest and actually make smart signings as well, employ someone in the board for me as well that's kind of like a sporting director. I think that'd be great. Yeah, I just think like we need a sort of more modern long term vision instead of kind of like, I mean, I love Abramovich, but the amount of money we've spent on the last few years on people that have flopped, it's just it's exciting at the time when you sign them, but a lot of them just haven't worked out, and that goes down to just the scouting and how we make the deals. Like, I don't want to go too far into it, but like Kepa, for example, we was trying to sign Allison. I think it was like a couple of days after, we just paid Kepa's release clause.
Mate, I can't.
Like what?
Mate, I mean, I've got to be honest. Before we signed him, I'd barely heard of him. Like
Real Madrid,
hardly heard of him.
Real Madrid nearly signed him for like 20 million or something. And then there's us going 72 million. Like, that's great. Roman got a reputation for spending big, but we need to spend it. We need to spend big and smartly. We need to combine the both. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's very interesting what's going to happen. I can't lie. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also so nervous because once new owners are in, mate, that's it for like 10, 20 years. We've got to pray they're good.
Yeah, this is it. And ultimately, like, even though you might have your preferred ones, like everyone wants Bowley, looks great on paper, the reality is once he's in, you don't really know what's going to happen. Like, and that, I think that's kind of the scary part. It can look good, but ultimately, you don't know how it's going to go when these new guys come in. But one thing I wanted to touch on, you just briefly mentioned it there. I think it's two of the consortiums, or maybe all three of them, are interested in a director of football. Now, Paul Mitchell, I think he formerly Spursy. I think he's been at Leipzig and he's at Monaco currently. They'd be interested in looking to bring him in as director of football. Two-part question, mate. One, do you think Chelsea need to go down a director of football kind of route? I know Petr Cech's there and he kind of loosely does that as such. And two, Paul Mitchell, good guy. What do you reckon?
He's done some very good work. I think he's one of the most wanted on the market at the moment in terms of his role. Manchester United won him as well. Ralph Rangnick knows him very well. So, I mean, that could be a big tipping point if he does move away from Monaco. He's also worked at Southampton, signed players that were very good for them, like Nathaniel Klein, Yoshida. I believe was one of the ones who found Dele Alli as well for Spurs. Sadio Mane, Heung-min Son. He signed a lot of good players. His track record looks decent. There's a full list somewhere I found on Twitter, but yeah, I do believe we do need someone as like a sporting director for sure. I mean, I don't trust Marina. I know a lot of people like her, finances wise, in terms of selling players, yes, she has got some good deals, but I think just look at our track record in terms of signings we've made. Just the recent one, Romelu Lukaku. I mean, clearly doesn't fit our system. Looked great at the time, good goal scorer and stuff. But if you really have a deep analytical data team behind the board, like or in the board behind those signings, you know, we probably don't sign Lukaku. We probably sign someone
Yeah.
completely different. So I mean, yeah, we definitely do need someone with an eye for talent. Marina, for me, has got the business expertise, but not the football expertise. Some people disagree with me. I don't know how. Just look at our fucking signings over the last few years. But yeah, I mean, I definitely do believe that's something we need to look into. And I was happy to hear that we was linked with him. But I am kind of stuck in two minds because Tuchel does like Marina a lot, and I don't want to upset that working relationship that they do have. I feel like if you change too many things, Tuchel could get unsettled, stuff like that. So I mean, maybe we convince Marina to stay, but also have that sporting director. But then if that happens, there's another question: will Marina want that? Does she want to have less power? You
Yeah.
know, like it's just so many questions. That's why I want this owner to take over, so we can actually like look at the individual situations in the club and just get an answer. You know what I mean? It's too much if, what, maybe, buts at the moment. It's annoying.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. You know, you can talk about it all day long, but ultimately, like, you just want new owners in, assess what the structure is, who's going to stay, who's going to go. I do think, like, it is the right decision short term to keep Marina on board. Just, like, don't disrupt the kind of the structure above Tuchel that he likes too much, because obviously a new ownership is a big transition. So you want to try and keep as much the same as possible, but then obviously further down the line, you can look at making changes. And I think it would be I mean, if Mourinho was to leave, I ultimately think she probably will move on. And I think if we could get someone like Paul Mitchell in and have him alongside Czech, I think that could be a pretty decent kind of setup. Obviously, I know Mitchell will probably do more than Czech, but I think that could be good. And I think ultimately it's going to really help us discovering players and making more kind of shrewd signings like Liverpool do, for example. I think that would definitely help us out there. But kind of moving away from that now, mate. Obviously, there'll be more news hopefully before the end of the month on that ownership stuff, and we can kind of have more concrete conversations about it. But moving to the game itself, West Ham on Sunday. I wanted to talk about Chelsea's form at Stamford Bridge. Over the years, it's been absolutely superb. You know, 85, 86 games unbeaten under Jose Mourinho. I think across Jose's two spells, he only lost 5 matches at Stamford Bridge, which is remarkable. And even under Ancelotti and Conte, you know, the form was good at Stamford Bridge. This season, I mean, we talked about it off air before we come on. Like, until you actually see it, the home form has been terrible. We're 8th or 9th in the standings for home form. And obviously you cannot sustain a title bid like that. Why do you think the home form, why do you think we struggled so much at the Bridge, particularly this season?
I mean, I know a lot of people think it's ridiculous, but it's actually true. I was looking at a document the other day, comparing not the pitch length size, because every pitch has to be the same length, but the width
Yes.
size is quite. Tuchel mentioned this as well. It's actually quite small in a lot of the stadiums in terms of width. For how we like to play with the expansive wing backs and wingers, it can get a bit difficult at times. I can't lie. I've definitely thought this over the years, and I've just never really said anything because I thought, will people find that a bit ridiculous? But I definitely notice it at games, bro. Like when I go to Stamford Bridge, like pitch does feel really small. And I think when you
Yeah.
have a lot of these deep block, low block sides, you can't really unlock them with, wide expansive play. You just look at Wembley, for example. Like it's a huge pitch. It's very, very wide. We can really play our game. And it's not an excuse, by the way. It's just something to actually think about because I just feel like over the last few years, we've definitely dropped a lot of points for not being able to break down these lower sides. I do think the width of the pitch definitely has something to do with that. And of course, our mentality as well. Our mentality going into these games. Massive questions, bro. Like Arsenal, I mean, they wanted it so much more than
Yeah.
us.
We didn't look up for it.
It was awful. They were pressing like animals. They want top four. They really do. And I just felt like Chelsea felt like, we'll win this game. Don't worry, like it's Arsenal. They've not been very good lately. Yeah, we'll get top four. But what always happens, I say this, we get dragged into a top four scrap for the last few seasons because we kind of like towards the end of the season, we're always too good for fourth. And then as we go
Yeah.
into those final few games, we're like, shit, we're going to finish fifth. And then we end up finishing fourth. So it's just like, why can't these players go into these games Finish third, like just do it. Win, play for Chelsea, play for the badge, play with quality. Gain momentum and form up to the FA Cup final because that's only next month. Like
Yes.
sort yourselves out. Like what are you doing? You're losing 4-2 at home to Arsenal, losing 4-1 to Brentford. You know what I mean? Like West Ham could. I'm sorry, West Ham could easily be. We could get
Oh,
battered again,
mate.
mate.
I
It,
wouldn't be
it's
surprised if
just,
we lost this weekend. Like
it's just
dead
disgusting.
serious. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we lost
I,
again.
it's just sad because I go into those games like now the last sort of this season, not even the last sort of few months or weeks or whatever. This season, I've not felt confident watching Chelsea at home. I don't know, especially toppled onto the fact that I believe we're better in the second half, so it always puts more pressure on us to be good in 45 minutes because we're never usually good at the first 45.
No.
It's been a consistent theme, so we're just not consistent, bro, and we've got to sort something out. We need to go on a run and fast because just look on the face of it. You beat West Ham, you beat Man United, brilliant. That's huge because then you've beat two good teams. I know Man U are
Yeah.
doing shit right now, but Man U and Man U, we've not won at Old Trafford since 2013. West Ham are very, very good. So if we can get 2 wins from these next 2 games, brilliant. No one's going to be complaining. But
Mm.
honestly, mate, it's been shit this season. I can't accept that.
And then obviously, like we got Everton next weekend as well.
Yep.
Our record at Goodison Park, despite how bad Everton are doing this season, we've got a horrendous record there as
I,
well.
I keep saying this. We either make this next few weeks really hard for ourselves, or we can make it easy. Because I know we can win games. I know we can defend better. We need to cut out these individual mistakes. I guess the positive thing is like how many games can these mistakes realistically go on for? Like if we're
Yeah,
being
this is
real,
it.
like you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's gonna. I don't think there's gonna be many more games where we can see 2 goals for mistakes. I just feel like we're going through a rough patch right now, where it's like with Mendy as well, bro. I love Mendy, but
He's struggling.
even at the game the other day, I thought like, mate, the fans in Matthew Arden were shouting at him, kick it forward. He kept passing it short. I don't know if
Mm.
that's an instruction or not, but like, you know what I mean? Like he's literally put like with Arsenal's press, mate. It was horrible to watch. We were really struggling getting out their press. It was horrible, mate. Awful.
Yeah, it's a big struggle. I mean, one thing I wanted to move on to, obviously, is the pitch. Now, we had kind of strange comments for me from Tuchel afterwards, talking about why, like, obviously, Christensen coming off, like the pitch is not good, the bounces were awkward, etc. The pitch is the same for everyone. I wasn't quite sure I was buying into that excuse, but obviously, like you tweeted out earlier, like a report from the I think Press Association. Chelsea looking into the standard of the pitch at Stamford Bridge. Renewal of the turf was late this season, and Tuchel has complained that it wasn't at the standard it could have been and should have been at. Is this kind of clutching at straws, making a kind of like I don't know if it's a bit of a schoolboy excuse, maybe a bit of a pathetic excuse. The pitch is the same for both teams. What are your thoughts on the Stamford Bridge pitch? Like, is it really that bad, or is this kind of like, hold on a second, why are we making excuses about the pitch?
I mean, for me, when I'm there, it looks beautiful. I can't
It
lie.
looks great, doesn't
It
it?
looks great. I don't know. I don't know where he's getting this from, but I mean, if Chelsea are looking into it, I mean, that kind of just could be them backing the manager, or like you know what I mean, or it could actually be a problem. I mean, the renew of the turf was quite interesting. Like, if that's the case, if there's not the same turf as last season, then maybe. But I don't know. I don't see
Yeah,
anything wrong with
I'm
it.
not.
Like
I
come on.
just,
Yeah, it's
mate,
turning a bit of Jurgen Klopp.
yeah, I was a little bit disappointed in those comments. Like
You know,
just
it's
yeah.
raining sort of midday.
Do you know what I mean? Though, like it's like, Craig, we lost. We didn't play well. We know Tuchel's always very honest and says it how it is. I thought that comment was a bit disappointing as such.
Think
You
he was
can't be
talking.
blaming the pitch.
I think he was talking about the bounces or something.
Yeah,
When the ball bounces, I don't know, man. Like, what do you do? Is it Tuchel just protecting his players in the media? 'Cause that's what I think it is. Like, he will go to extreme lengths to defend his players, and fucking hell, I love that because not many managers do that, and even if it's at expense of annoying, like getting the fans annoyed by saying stupid stuff like this, it means you probably won't fall out with the squad, and that's ultimately what you don't want. So, yeah, I mean, if he says Christensen made a horrible mistake, I mean, fans will be like, yeah, facts, well done, Tuchel,
yeah.
but players don't want you to say that. Like, they know they made a mistake, so why say it in the media? Like, that can cause problems. So, even Christensen came out and said he made a mistake. So, like, why do you need
Yeah.
Tuchel saying it as well? So,
Yeah, I mean,
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's I don't know. I mean, like, what I also found ridiculous was like a slight side tangent, but like how certain sections of like Chelsea Twitter, football Twitter in general, like that how they feel that, you know, if you criticize Tuchel because he got something wrong, which all managers get wrong, that suddenly you're Tuchel out. Like it's the amount of like stuff I've seen over the last few days. It's just ridiculous. Like you basically, if you criticize a manager, you suddenly want the manager out. Like it's, I mean, I just don't get it at all. It just doesn't make any sense. Like you're allowed to criticize the manager. Like we all love Tuchel, but he gets things wrong. And when he gets things wrong, he should be criticised for it. He should be no different to anyone else. So I didn't really understand that at all. But I mean, mate, it's just a little bit on West Ham. Dangerous side, aren't they? I know they've dropped a lot of points after Europa League games, etc. And they're in the semi-finals now. Got a great chance of making a final there as well. Doing well in the league. Got some great players. Declan Rice, we touched on. Obviously, Cresswell at fullback. Jared Bowen's fantastic. Antonio's a handful up front. You know, with Rudiger missing as well from the back and Kovacic in midfield, these could cause us a few problems, couldn't they? I mean, what players kind of particularly concern you? I mean, I guess Bowen and Rice are the obvious ones, but they've got quality all over the pitch.
100%. Yeah, it's going to be a tough match. When you look at Arsenal now, could have easily been a 6-pointer because West Ham haven't lost many games this season.
They beat us as well at their place.
They beat us. They're a very good unit. Again, West Ham game away was mistakes, Mendy. So, you know, we've had a lot of these games this season. The thing that I'm most worried about is like how quickly, realistically, can we turn this around? Like Chelsea have done it before, where like obviously we lost to Real Madrid at home, then we battered Southampton 6-0. But at the end of the day, Southampton ain't West Ham. You know, like Arsenal, West Ham is very hard back-to-back games. Yeah, some of the players. I mean, Souček's a good player. Rice. I mean, they've got such a solid midfield. Those two. It's like you look at our midfield at the moment. We ain't got Kovacic. No one's playing well in midfield personally.
No.
Like Loftus-Cheek for me personally, I liked him more at the wing back, cutting inside really, coming into the midfield rather than actually being in the pivot. Kanté, Jorginho, you know, Saul never plays. You can play Barkley, no. So worried about the midfield massively. Transitions as well. Disgusting how many times we got caught on the break against Arsenal. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you look at Ben Rama as well. Very, very quick player, technical player, dribbler, can pick a pass. Bowen, you mentioned. Antonio hasn't scored like many goals for a little while, but still gets a chance. He's going to put one away knowing us. I mean, we just had Nketiah bag of brace against us. So it's like, I'm shitting myself, to be honest. 4 hours again. They've just got a lot of tidy technical players that can easily create chances. And with the way we're defending and our midfield, I don't think we're going to win. I hope we do, but I can't see it at the moment. Like, I hate being negative. I said we draw against Arsenal. We lost 4-2. So I mean, no one can tell me I'm being negative right now. It's warranted. But even at the back, like it's not a case of Chelsea can outscore them really because they've got a very, very good. I mean, we could, but they've got a very good defense. Zuma, solid. He's going to want to prove a point. They've got what's his name? Dawson's actually very good.
Dawson's deep, mate. He's dangerous from set pieces as well, mate. Every time the West Ham play a game, you know, he seems to always pop up with a goal.
I mean, you've got Fredericks at right back. Werner's ain't going to run past him. They're like the same speed, if not Fredericks is quicker, you know. So Cresswell again, good set piece. Like they've got such a good team. I can't lie. It's not going to be a good game. I don't.
Mate, it is gonna be tough. And as you say, like it's so hard to tell. Like when are we going to bounce back from this? Because you know, as I said, we lost to Brentford, lost to Real Madrid. We then won 3 on the spin.
They've not got many.
And then we've lost again. There doesn't seem there's no. That's exactly the word, mate. No consistency, and it's why. You know, in one-off games, we can beat anyone. But over the course of a season, this is why we're falling short season after season. We've got no consistency on the side. Over 38 games, like, we haven't got the consistency. And that obviously needs to change going forwards big time. But, I mean, mate, let's move into the predicted lineup. We touched on it earlier. Obviously, you know, do you think it's going to be... I mean, I've got it up as a back 5 again, back 3, back 5, whatever you want to call it. Rudiger's out. Do you think that changes the thinking at all? Having tried Malang Sarr in the back 3, didn't work well at all against Arsenal. Do you think Tuchel just make a simple personnel change there, maybe put Chalobah back in? Or do you think actually you might think, let's go the back 4? What would you be going with?
I mean... I'm tempted to go for a back 4 just because we're more attacking that way. But at the same time, I don't think we can we can't even defend in the 3/5 at the moment. So if we go to a 4, I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't think we've got the midfielders for it either at the moment to play a 4. Honestly, the only thing you might do is you play a 4 and then you've got maybe one extra attacker if Mount plays in midfield. But at the same time, every time we've played a 4, he's gone with Ruben as the 6, and I don't understand that at
I
all.
don't like Ruben as the
I
6 at
don't
all.
like it. I don't like when we play it. The only time I've kind of thought we had good structure was when we played that 4-2-2. But even then, again, I didn't really like the way we attacked in that. So it's kind of like I don't really like anything in the 4, to be honest with you, at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stick with a 3, to be honest. I think,
Let's stick with a
yeah.
3. Obviously, he said he's not been in the best of form in the last few games. He's been struggling a little bit, particularly distribution wise, etc. But mate, very very straightforward. Mendy's not going to be dropped for this game, is he?
No, I mean, even Tuchel said in I think one of the embargo section in one of his recent press conferences came out like 10:30, expecting another one tonight where they ask
Yeah.
questions that are not live shown but they're released from the newspapers.
Oh, okay.
And he said, yeah, Mendy's not being dropped. We'll have an honest conversation with Kepa in the summer. Kepa was supposedly disappointed for not being starting in the Carabao Cup final and the Club World Cup final because Mendy came back in and started that. So, I mean, yeah, Mendy won't be dropped. I highly, highly doubt that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either, mate. Clutch saying that he thinks the 4-2-2's been our worst formation this season.
Attacking wise, it has. I just mean,
Yeah.
if there's a four at the back formation where I don't mind us defending in it, I think it's that one personally. So I
Yeah.
just feel like you've still got the pivot in that, you know what I mean? And then you've got, because the wide attacking mids, they track back because Ziyech played there a lot, didn't he? Remember on the
Mm.
right side, and he was always getting back, and it was kind of like defending with a 5 anyway. It's just, yeah, going forward, I just didn't like the shape of it personally.
Mate, back 3, decisions to be made on Sunday. Rudiger missing, massive problem. Chalobah, for me, I don't. Christensen's going to Barcelona. We all know that. He's probably mentally, I think he's checked out. Chalobah, for me, I've got no idea why he's not playing. Like, the guy's not even getting on the bench. Like, it feels like, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I've seen Alex Goldberg tweet this out, that it feels very similar, and I agree with him. It feels very similar to what happened with Tomori. I'm not saying Chalobah's going to be sold or whatnot, but, playing a lot, made a few mistakes, which is going to happen with a young player. Defenders make mistakes. It happens. And now he just doesn't seem to be part of the setup whatsoever. I mean, Tuchel obviously come out and explained reasons why Chalobah's not featured, but mate, what's your thought on Chalobah not featuring and like someone like Malang Sarr getting minutes ahead of him? Who, no disrespect to Sarr, but Chalobah's way better than him.
Yeah, I mean, I had a kind of the opposite view to you on this, and kind of everyone really on the day. I mean, when I first saw that team, like Chalobah has played left centre back, but it was in France, and Tuchel said like recently he will play more in the upcoming matches. If Chalobah's completely frozen out, then yes, you can compare it to the Tomori
Yeah.
situation. But I just feel like people are like, I don't know. I just felt like people lost their heads a lot, the other night. I mean, if we won that game, for example, people would be like, "Oh,
I wouldn't have said it, yeah.
why are you questioning Tuchel?" Like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
because we got battered, people were like, "Oh, what the fuck's Tuchel doing?" I was just like, "Shut up!" Like, you know what I mean? I'm a big Tuchel defender, and I was just getting annoyed. I mean, Sarr is not good, but he's a left centre back. That's his primary position. That's not Chalobah's primary position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So why did people only had a problem with that because we lost and because he played bad? Like, on the face of it, Tuchel's rotations made sense. He brought a left centre back in for a left centre back, and he brought £100 million striker in for Kai Havertz. For me personally, if you're a manager, you wouldn't make any changes to that. You're not going to play Werner up front. You're not going to put Chalobah in over it because he's not a natural left centre back. So I don't see why everyone had a problem with it personally.
To be fair, mate, the only thing that I disagreed with in the lineup was Thiago Silva not starting. I think the rest of it, I actually didn't really have any issue with it. But one thing I would have done was, which I thought didn't make sense, was we obviously started Lukaku, no issue with that. Why didn't we play Reece James at right wing back? Like,
again, because Tuchel said he's easing him in these
matches.
Yeah,
he is. But like, this is quite a lot of easing in. Like, do you know what I mean? This is a lot of easing in. Like, we're playing Lukaku. We want balls into the box. Reece James is our biggest attacking outlet down, like one of our biggest attacking outlets on the whole pitch, and particularly obviously down that right hand side. We're playing a centre forward in Lukaku.
But for
Well,
me, Tuchel,
I think we missed the trick. Like, I know they switched it in the second half, but
but
I think he missed the trick not playing Reece James at right wing back when Lukaku starts.
But the thing is, though, like Charlie, Tuchel would have done that if that was an actual option. I don't think he had. I don't think he could have started right wing back. Honestly,
Yeah,
I don't think he had the fitness for it. So I trust Tuchel in that. Like, there's no way he prefers Reece at right centre back. It's just
no,
like he loves him in both positions. Yeah, but Reece is a right wing back. Tuchel knows that. So when
yeah,
he's, it's a very very demanding role. Aspie's like out of breath every time he goes back
yeah,
and
he's
forward. Bless
knackered.
him. You know what I mean? Like people don't realise like managers do stuff for reasons. I just felt on that night everyone was questioning his lineup, and I was just like, but when people have done that before and then we've won, they've been like, don't ever question Tuchel again.
And then the next match
And,
they
and then
question it.
and then they literally like people weren't even like criticizing Tuchel. They were going to town like
Oh,
you've just bloody lost this. Mate, even at the game, I wrote an article about this. I was so pissed off, right? You know that we've got Super Tommy Tuchel chant, right?
yeah.
There was two lads singing it outside the ground, right? 10, 15 lads who I was walking with back to station were telling them to shut up. Why? Just because we've lost?
Yeah,
Like, shut up. Are you not behind Tuchel now? Fucking divs, honestly. Oh, it really annoyed me. Like, do you only want to sing that when we're doing good then? Do
yeah,
you really believe in Tuchel if you only sing that when we've done good? Like, oh, it just aggravates me, honestly. What's wrong with people?
yeah, mate. I get what you're saying, but back to the back three, then, mate. As I said, the only thing I disagree with Thiago Silva not starting. Surely he starts. He's got to be starting on Sunday. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it?
He will start.
He must do, yeah.
He will start.
The makeup of the other two defenders, then, obviously, Malang Sarr had a shocker against Arsenal. I mean, is he gonna continue at left-sided centre back? I mean, surely that he's not. But I mean, realistically, what other choices have we got? I mean, could Christensen play there potentially? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he could do. Trying to think if he's played there much before. Thing is, after that game, I don't see him starting Sarr again. Like that would be
No.
if he does that, then I'll be like, fair enough. You can moan at the lineup because after those mistakes he had, I mean, the fourth goal. What on earth is that guy doing? Like that was so clumsy. Like, I was like, the thing is, when you sit in the Maviarden and they shoot towards the shed, I couldn't even see what was going on. I
No, you
was like,
can't
what's
see
going on?
it.
And I watched the replay back, and I was like, oh my god, that is worse than I thought. Like honestly, it was horrible. So, but again, Christensen made a mistake as well. The problem is we haven't got that many options when you think of it.
No,
Because
we don't, mate.
Rudiger always takes his spot. So what do you do? Yeah, you know
Mate,
what?
it's really tough. But
Let's put Christensen there because I think it's between him and Chalobah. I don't think Chalobah is going to play there though.
no, I think Christensen will. I would personally go with Christensen. I just don't think we can see Sarr again in that position, particularly the next game after that shocker against Arsenal. So that leaves the right-sided centre back. We've seen Reece James there probably the last 4 games: Southampton, Real Madrid, Palace, and Arsenal. Do we think Reece James right centre back again? I mean, personally, I'd like to see him at right wing back, but then who do we put in the third defensive position? Do we put Aspie back in there? I mean, or does Chalobah come back in? What are you thinking, mate? What would you do?
See, I think it is risky with bringing in a young defender like Chalobah in straight after when he's not played for ages. That's why, like, I could see somewhat why people were complaining about Sarr, but I do feel like Sarr's like when he's come in, he's been
He's
like
actually done
okay,
all
like
right. In
yeah, like I
fairness,
don't think
he's been useful.
he's had a few stinkers, like a couple of stingers. I think who's it? Was it the cup game against? There was a cup game where he was fucking shit, give away a penalty or something, weren't it? I can't remember. He was awful in one of the cup games, but overall, like he hasn't been that bad. He's just been average. So for Chalobah, I think look, I'd trust him. I just
I would as well.
would. I'm not sure if Reece James is ready in Tuchel's eyes to start at right wing back yet. I'm not sure if he has if he's ready.
Man, this is a tough
Difficult.
one. I don't know what I'd go with. I've got to be honest, mate. I don't like if Chalobah hasn't played for ages, and
You'd probably say Aspie, wouldn't you? I mean,
I mean,
there's,
I
there's
mean, I think Reece James is going to continue there. I've got to be
yeah.
honest. I think he will.
Yeah, it might do.
And I
Yeah.
think it probably makes the most sense. He definitely prefers Reece James starting there than Aspie starting there. Oh, mate, let's just stick it in. Let's go James. But I mean, I would much rather see him at right wing back. So I guess if we go with James there, then obviously it's going to be Aspie at right wing back. I mean, there's obviously the
Could be
potential
Ruben.
for it. Could be
Ruben.
could be Ruben. What would you go with, mate? Would you want to? I
I,
mean,
I,
obviously, if it went Ruben, if we go Ruben there, then it has to be Kante and Jorginho in midfield.
yeah, it does, and I don't really want to play Jorginho, to be quite honest with you. Against their midfield is so physical.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, I
Souček would
think,
just bash him up.
I think with the way Kante's performing as well, I honestly think Rice would run round and run rings around him. Honestly, he's not been good.
No, he hasn't. I mean,
The midfield worries the hell out of me. I
it,
can't
mate,
lie.
I think. I mean, honestly, I know like no one was particularly good against Arsenal. I didn't think Ruben was that bad. He was much better than Kante was in that game. But I mean,
Yeah,
would you
I
keep
just,
Ruben in midfield or would you put him to right wing back?
I kind of want to put him in right wing back just because I don't.
Oh, mate,
Aspie,
let's, mate, mate, let's,
Aspie for me is just. I know he scored, but he's blowing out. He's not like if
his
you have
defending was
Aspie,
terrible.
if you have Aspie and Alonso as wing backs, it's just like it's so like it deters our game so much. Like
Mate, what
honestly,
did you very briefly before we move on to the left hand side? What did you make of the confrontation at full time with Aspie
I didn't
and
like
the
it.
fans? Like, I mean, I haven't got a problem with it at all, but obviously, media likes to blow it up and stuff. I think
I
I quite liked it, to be honest. I think it showed that he was hurt and he cares, he's passionate about the club, all these things we know. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
Yeah, I don't know. I can kind of see your point of view, but for me, when I was watching the video, kind of
Yeah,
like Aspie didn't want to hear what the guy had to say. Like
yeah,
he was kind of looked like he was having a go at him, and I'm just like, why are you having a go at him? Like he's clearly wants more from the team. This is a fan's perspective. Like I love Aspie, but I don't know. Like, can you really be Can you really be that angry at a fan? Like
yeah.
I don't know. Like for me, it just looked, like when I think when it was when we lost 6-0 away to Man City or something.
Oh, yeah, got battered, yeah.
Rudiger went over to the fans, and he kind of like stood there and he was like talking with them, like having a discussion. But this to me kind of seemed like Aspie was kind of like digging the fan out, like what's your problem, kind of thing. He
Mm.
did it. He was proper angry, mate. I didn't honestly. I didn't really like it personally.
No, fair enough, mate. Moving to the left-hand side then. Mate, we haven't really got many options here either. Alonso, seems to be Jackal and Hyde at the moment. Fantastic in the Bernabeu, good against Southampton, etc. And then, mate, he was shocking against Arsenal, awful. But
Tell you
having
what,
said that, mate, what's the other option? Play Aspie there. Like, do you think? I mean, do you go with Alonso again, or do you think maybe we could see Aspie on the left-hand side? But even when we saw him against Real Madrid in the home leg, he was dreadful on that left-hand side as well. So I mean, we're kind of stuck.
yeah, I'm actually petrified about this position, this game, particularly because I think anyone you put in there is going to get caught on transitions. Alonso will,
Yeah.
Aspie would, Saul would, Kennedy would. Like, this is like shit. Like, honestly, we're already 1-0 down in my eyes from a Bowen goal. I'm shitting myself. I'm shitting myself. I probably would have to say Alonso. And
Yeah.
Saka had him on absolute toast, mate.
Yeah,
It
he
was
did.
first half in front of Matthew Arden. I was disgusting. He was turning him inside and out. It was not fun.
I
Um,
mean,
this is an awful spot we have for depth. It's truly horrid.
it is hard. Well, you would expect though, like I mean, obviously when Rudiger doesn't play, you really see how much actual protection and how much he helps out defensively, Alonso. But and then when that wasn't there, Malang Sarr obviously on Wednesday night offering no protection at all. You'd like to think that Christensen would offer a little bit more defensive protection on that left-hand side to help Alonso, but we just don't know. But mate, moving into the midfield, obviously we've gone with Loftus-Cheek at wing back. That leaves us two choices, realistically. Kante and Jorginho. I mean, could Saul play? I mean, he's not played for ages. I wouldn't have thought so. So I guess those two just pick themselves, don't they?
Most likely.
I mean, what other options? What other options do we have? We don't.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But
There's
again,
there's
like
none.
next Thursday, I mean, we play Man United, and Man United's a type of game where you'd probably have this two midfielders, Jorginho and Kante, but I don't know in this game. I can't see anyone else starting, so you kind of have to put them in there. I mean,
We have to, yeah.
the only one that would start otherwise would be Loftus-Cheek, but we've got him as kind of the wing back pushing into midfield, that kind of hybrid role. So
Yeah. Yeah,
again, I
no.
mean, just jeez, this is making me worry just looking at this lineup.
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard work. Obviously, if James was to play right wing back, Loftus Cheek would start in midfield for me ahead of Jorginho. But I mean, mate, let's move on to that front three then. Mason Mount having a fantastic season. Just, I mean, not a great game on Wednesday night, but another assist. He's a shoo-in to start. I mean, there's not really too much more to say about him. You definitely start him on that right hand side.
I'd actually start him on the left-hand side
You start him on the
for this
left,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd start Mount on the left, and I don't know why, but I kind of want to give Ziyech a game. I feel like with Ziyech, because he's been out of the team so long, I kind of feel like we need that creativity, those crosses into the box for Havertz, the shots. I kind of
Yeah.
feel like we're missing that a bit. I know Werner's been on good form, but like, mate, even his goal, like, come on, like, seriously, it's just it was an awful deflection. Like, he didn't really do much else for me personally. So, no, I feel like we should give Ziyech a game, and you can
Yeah.
always, I mean, Pulisic as well as a shout. Give either of them a game, you see what happens. But
Mate, are
I
you
think,
surprised on Pulisic quickly? I mean, I'd
yeah,
personally start Werner, but I'm happy to put Ziyech in. What do you think's happened to Pulisic? Because he had that purple patch where he was our
it's,
best attacker
just,
for a number of games, and now he's not even getting on the pitch anymore.
yeah, he's
Like
in
what's
that.
going on there? I mean, I would now say like if someone was going to leave this summer, Werner's turnaround in form, I'd be more inclined to think that Pulisic might be moved on over Werner on current form.
I wouldn't, just because of the US owner situation
Yeah,
and things like
true.
that. Like they'll
Marketability.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's a
going
fair
to
point.
pre-season tours. He's still young, like,
Yeah,
I don't know. You definitely probably, well, you would get the most from Pulisic, Ziyech, and Werner. I mean, from Pulisic out of those three, in my opinion,
yeah,
because he's still got talent. It's just he goes through these stages where like he's undroppable, and then he'll go through these stages where he don't touch the pitch or he's a super sub.
yeah,
And I think he's in that second stage at the moment again. So how do you get out of it? Well, how he's got out of it all this time is by doing really well off the bench and forcing his way back in. Again,
yeah.
for
I
me,
mean,
it's like, what do you want from Ziyech and Pulisic? Like,
I
I
tell
don't
you
know.
what would have been a kick in the teeth for Pulisic was obviously the FA Cup semi-final where we got 5 subs and he
Yeah,
still doesn't get off the bench. I think that would have been a tough one to take.
I think
Um,
with those two, it's like you start Pulisic because you want the dribbling and stuff like that, but he's not been good at that, and he also looks a lot slower lately. I'm not even
looks
gonna
like he's
lie to
lost a
you.
bit of a yard. I mean, he might not
100%
have
he has.
done, but
No,
like
he
visually, it
has.
looks like he does. Yeah,
He 100% has, bro. Like, it's noticeable. His injuries, like, I was watching a comp from his 1920 season. The guy was like rapid, like
yeah,
unbelievable speed. Like honestly, it looked faster than Werner on the ball. Like, he was so quick, agile. Like, he just doesn't look like that anymore. Whether or not it's confidence, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you go to him for the dribbles and the speed, but then you've got Ziyech again at home. We struggle with the low blocks. Sometimes you need someone to pull something out, a spectacular, to get us back into the game. He's done that off the right hand side this season. So yeah,
yeah.
I'd personally give him a game, but I don't think it will happen. To be honest, I think it will
No, mate,
probably be
I fully
Werner,
expect
Mount.
it'll be
Yeah,
Timo Werner, but I fully back. You know, Ziyech being given some minutes considering he's not played much, and then obviously, mate, number 9 position is obviously going to be Kai Havertz. So that's kind of fairly standard. I just wanted very briefly before we round it out, mate. Lukaku obviously got a start on against Arsenal. Disappointing from him again. Where obviously I know it's kind of we're towards the end of the season now. Very quickly, mate, where do you stand on Lukaku now? There's a big decision in
it's
the summer ahead. I mean,
it's
I
gonna go.
agree. I agree with you that if he stays, the pre-season is so important for him. But do you think if the club got offered £60 million, that's it, done?
But he will be sold if any reasonable offer comes in. I even think a loan with an obligation, they'll get him gone.
Yeah,
I feel like it's too much of a toxic situation now. I was in the Matthew Harden Arsenal game. They booed him. They booed him off. I've not seen that. I wasn't there for when Jorginho got booed. I can't
yeah,
remember personally Morata being booed. He was abused, like shouted at, but he wasn't booed like that. Like that was
Mate,
terrible, bro.
I think Lukaku was booed at Brighton away as well.
Oh, it's just so bad. I mean, he even clapped the fans, and I was just like, personally, I don't think it helps anyone by booing them because, I mean,
No.
you still, like, I love Havertz, but again, he can't play every single game. So when Lukaku comes in, like, try and support him. You know what I mean? Even if he
Yeah.
plays shit, just, don't boo him off. You know what I mean? So he'll probably go in the summer because I think it's best for all parties. But I cannot believe I'm sitting here saying this after one season. It's just,
Yeah.
I just give up honestly with Shy because I can't do it anymore. I can't get hyped. I was beyond excited for him, and I just
Mate,
can't do
mate,
it.
amount of times I went on streams or on my own, on this channel saying, oh, mate, I'm so delighted we signed him. You know, it's going to be a difference. It's going to
Mate,
score
I
us the
will be.
goals that win us the title. Loads of Chelsea fans saying that. And, you know, pundits all saying it. What a fantastic signing. You know, we're all excited. Honestly, mate, look, I didn't expect him to hit the ground running and him be like phenomenal. I don't think any of us could have expected it was going to turn out like this for this season. But I still, part of this, mate, I still really want this to work. Like,
Same. I
I
do, but
really do.
I just don't
But
think it will.
I,
I can't see us adapting. Like we either adapt to him or he adapts to us.
do you
And
think,
neither of those things are gonna happen,
do you
bro.
think, last on it, do you think that if a Tchouaméni or a Rice comes in next summer, we go 4-3-3, do you think that makes it any better for Lukaku?
No,
Or
because
no?
he's always needed for me to play up top with someone. He needs
Yeah,
that link. Like and also midfielders won't matter because even when you've got Mateo Kovacic, one of the most progressive passers in the Premier League this season, even sometimes like he tried to find Lukaku, but it don't always work. Like a lot of teams play with a DMs covering Lukaku, like staying in front of him, so you can't play that entry pass to him in the first place. And
yeah.
even when we try and play that style of play, that doesn't suit him anyway because he wants to be running into the channels. He doesn't want to play
Mm.
as a target man, play off of him kind of thing. That's not what we bought him for, or at least I hoped it wasn't. It looks like it. Um, but yeah, it's I don't think it's going to work. I want it to, but we'd have to completely change. Like we'd have to play like 3-5-2 or something and play on counter attacks. Tuchel's
Yeah,
not
I
doing
mean,
that.
mate, we've seen a 3-5-2 a couple of times this
It's
season.
awful.
It was dreadful.
It doesn't
Um,
suit. Like the thing is with Lukaku is there's far more players in our starting 11 that suit the way Tuchel wants to play than how we would want Lukaku to play. That's the issue. That's why it won't work, in my opinion.
yeah, I mean, I'd love it to work. I personally would give it one more season, but then, mate, that kind of nicely brings us full circle in terms of the facts of, you know, we knew exactly what we were getting with Lukaku. We knew his strengths. We knew how he played. We don't play like that. So, what was the scouting? Not the scouting. Obviously, people know Lukaku, but you know, the scouting, the intel behind it that we thought, hang on a second, this guy's going to be phenomenal for us. Like, I almost think we panicked a little bit. We thought we need a centre forward. Haaland was too expensive. Harry Kane was never going to happen from Tottenham. Who's the next best one we can get? Lukaku, easiest one to complete on the market.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm not sure if the due diligence as such, you know, went into actually thinking about the practical reality of this transfer because we don't play anything like suits Lukaku. But then Tuchel was supposedly happy to have him, so I don't really know what's going on, but it certainly hasn't worked out.
I mean, who's not going to be happy if the board's buying you £100 million
Yeah, yeah, no,
striker,
yeah,
like,
of course, of course. But I mean, look, obviously, hindsight's a great thing, but you know, it doesn't.
You looked on the face of it, like you looked at the amount of chances we created. Look how
Oh,
many
mate,
chances we
yeah.
had like put into the box. Like
Mm.
not even like full on crosses. It was kind of like cutbacks and things like that. We were all saying we just need someone in there to finish those off, and we'll win the league. Like because we created so much, but it's like he came and it's like we just play completely different. And
Yeah.
I swear to you, this is the thing as well. After that interview, bro, people don't want to pass to him. I swear to you, I've noticed this
Mate,
again.
no one. I know he has low touches and that, and he
It's
could do
crazy.
more drop deep to get the ball, etc. Try and get himself involved in the game. But
Look at the Arsenal game. Look at
yeah,
the first game he played in, Aston Villa game. Look at Mount. Look at Havertz. Look at the wing
mate, they're
backs.
looking for him.
Bro, they're looking for him. They're playing 1-2s. They're moving. They don't do that anymore. Like it's ridiculous as well. And also, a lot of blame does have to go to him because he is so much
Yeah,
less sharp.
yeah, of
Like, bro,
course.
the Arsenal at home game, Mendy was kicking up long to him. He wasn't even jumping for the ball. He wasn't even jumping.
Mate,
Like, what's
do
wrong
you
with
think
him?
I think he looks. I think he looks unfit. I know he's. I know he's.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, mate. As you say, he definitely looks nowhere near as sharp as he was at the start of the season
Eh,
when he was in good form. But I mean, yeah, we could talk all day about him, but he's got to do more, and it's a massive decision to be made. And like, all right, you get rid of him, etc. But it's never as easy as that. It's okay, get rid of him. Well, what do we do? That space in the squad's got to be filled, and we need to bring someone else in. Who do we bring
That's
in?
why
Are they going to be any better? Like it's so hard.
that's why we need a sporting director, bro. Someone who actually, like Luis Campos or something like that. Someone who
Yeah,
understands the data network. Like everything's data in football. Modern football's gone that way. It's all about making those smart signings. Like it's, I can't list you names off the top of my head because I'm not a European scout. But we
yeah,
need someone who's going to fit Tuchel's system. But it's also like I was making this reference as well. Man City are perfect for this. Look at all the players they've got in Guardiola's squad. Not only do they buy them for Guardiola, but when Guardiola leaves, you know that next manager is going to play the exact same way, have the exact same
yeah.
philosophy. So the players they bought in don't fail long term. With us, we've got players from Lampard's squad, we've got players from Conte's squad, we've got players from Sarri's squad.
Oh mate, it's just a
All,
pick.
all, all
It's just
players,
a pick and mix.
all managers that play a different style of football. You had Lampard, who was kind of all out attack. You had Sarri, who was possession based, but he also actually, I think we had like the third best defensive record in the league or something. He was actually
Yeah,
pretty good defensively in that four. We had Conte, who played counter attack, and then we've got Tuchel, who plays heavy possession. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not only
mate.
buying players; you've got
Um,
to buy players long term that are going to suit your
yeah.
next managers as well. You know what I mean?
And we wonder why, we've got such a mismatch of players and such a kind of unbalanced squad. That's why, despite, look, I've got no problem with Roman's kind of hiring and firing stance on managers that he's had during his ownership at the club. It's brought us phenomenal success. Fantastic. But I think there's no coincidence that the two most successful teams now have fully backed their managers and they've had continuity in that position. We've got the guy to do this. We have to do it. Like you cannot have a situation where you've got managers constantly coming in and they're picking up players that, all right, well, I would never have used this player, and they're inheriting other managers' squads, and it just becomes a mess. So we really need to clear out all the shit in the squad, back Tuchel, and then hopefully we can build something. Because I do really think now that to win a league title, I think we need to keep Tuchel we need him long term. I can't see this constant changing of managers, if that were to carry on under the new owners, how we actually get any closer to a Premier League title. I don't think we do. It's
Yeah,
you
I agree.
know, I think we have to. But mate, last thing before we finish up, score prediction for Sunday. I can never predict us to lose. I think we will just scrape through. I'm going to go 2-1.
I was gonna say, yeah, if we win, it will be like 2-1, I think. Or maybe 1-0 if we defend really
Yeah.
well. But I can't see it at the
I
moment.
just don't trust us not to make a mistake or to concede.
Yeah, and that's like stark, contrast to what we was a few months ago. This last season, especially, is just I don't know, just going through that rough patch at the wrong time in the season.
No, this is it, mate. But yeah, it seems like a good point to round out. Pice, thanks so much for your time, bro. Appreciate it as always, guys. Make sure you check out Pice on Twitter. I've linked his Twitter in the description. Make sure you follow him for all the Chelsea news. Everything's on there, so really do check that out. And also check out his website. That's linked in the description as well. So go and have a look at that. Guys, thanks so much for getting involved in the chat. Really appreciate all of your support. Make sure you smash like on this video and please do subscribe to the channels. 4 away from 400 before this stream started. So if you're watching live and you've not clicked that button, please do subscribe. It really helped me get there. Hopefully be there after this stream to help me on the road to 400. And hopefully Chelsea can return to winning ways against West Ham on Sunday. I'll catch you in a match reaction on Sunday. But until then, take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in and up the Chelsea.